All right, so we will open the meeting of, I know I've got to find my trustees meeting of Tuesday, July 11, 2017. And we'll start with a review and approval of the minutes. There's two sets, June 13 and June 27.
Which would you like to do first?
Let's do June 13.
I will make a motion to approve, because I believe that's the meeting I was at, because I was not at the other, so.
I'll second.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
And then the other was the finalization of the end of the fiscal year, June 27.
I'll move that we approve the minutes for June 27.
I second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor for that?
Aye.
Aye.
And one abstention.
You were, right, you were gone. Okay, next, review of the warrant. There's just one this time, is there not?
There's one payroll and one, regular.
Oh, yes. So let's start with the regular warrant.
Do you have a signable copy?
I do not.
I've got one.
Okay, Mark's with it.
Yeah, barely. I assume the two, and I think I looked at the extended, but the Matt Morris and the Hardigan are both the culvert, is that right?
Yes.
On
That's
one.
correct.
Okay.
It's nice if they can get together and quickly make, and do these payments.
And with those, we need copies of those checks
Oh.
and
Wait,
copy of the bills.
You have the bills. You sent
Okay,
them
but
to us.
Well,
Right.
I have the Hardigan bill, I don't have the Matt Morris bill.
Okay, well,
I have the Matt Morris.
But before they get sent to both of
Okay, tell me.
those, we need copies of the bills, copies of the checks, and a copy of the warrant that they were paid in. And the only reason I'm saying it now is because of the meeting we're gonna have Friday, and the meetings that will be in a couple months from now, we won't have to go look for all that paperwork. So if we start a folder right now to all the stuff that we can claim, and I'll copy Lewis's check.
And
Well, Lewis's check.
as long as just the front of the check is acceptable, very often they want the front and the back, the cash check. But if we've got it on a warrant, maybe that's,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, well, they won't get the cash one. We wouldn't have, I think that's enough.
You have Matt
Matt's.
Hardigan is still on the computer.
That's on the computer. I'm sorry, I just didn't even print it off to.
I'll just print that off. Print that off.
And then those extra payrolls you'll do as well.
We have that.
Yeah.
You have those. I made those checks out and they're right here.
Yeah, can you print those, like a copy of those, bang, bang, bang?
I have copies of
The
the detail.
payrolls for the extra people that we had?
I have copies of that detail. You want that in the folder.
Yep, because we can capture that.
Okay.
It'll be easier than, if we start thinking about it now as it's going, it'll be a lot easier in 4 months when we're going like, where is it?
Is there anything else you need?
Anything that I say Water Street? Yes, there is, but
Okay, so it's.
It'll be wetlands.
Norm, before we, what's the
Hardigan.
Milton cap? Would we,
probably that throttle pedal. Cables.
$580 worth? Okay. Okay.
Wait till you find out what the doors are worth.
Oh, you did order new doors?
No, I didn't order. We're trying to find used ones.
Yeah, they need it. I noticed that today. Sure could use it.
About $1,200 a piece.
How much?
1,200 each.
Pretty soon, so we're buying a new place. For the backup. All right, well, if there's no other questions, make a motion. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the July warrant for $14,565.27.
Second.
We've had our discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then the payroll warrant, which involves a few extra items related to some extra help during the storm cleanup.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the payroll warrant for $6,882.91.
I second it.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Citizen comments. We have none. Which is fine. Treasurer's report.
Okay, hold on, I'm coming. So I sent out
Yeah, both.
a couple of reports later this afternoon. I don't know if everybody's had a chance to
Yep.
see them. One of which shows us what our account balances were at the end of the year. On that, I'd like to point out that right now, after we take out what was in transit and what is been approved here today, we'll have about 2.5 months of funds left before we run out. Is there anything major that you know of that's gonna come up? Norm is not. So we want to spend a little bit of time thinking of what any unusual expenses might be before tax revenues start rolling in.
Norm, you're referencing the Water Street?
Well, we have a couple projects, but Water Street's probably the biggest one. And then we have Church Street.
Which is ready to go now that we've got the...
It's not ready to go. but
Yeah.
it's
And what about the sidewalk project?
We'll wait till we get to it.
Okay, well, she just needs to know kind of what we're...
Well, I don't need to know this minute, I'm just
All right.
simply putting it out.
Not to
there
mention there's plenty of funds in the
That between now and
sidewalk.
2 months from now, we want to make sure that we're not
Yes.
chewing our fingers or rushing to do some tax borrowing.
Right.
At the
Are you
end.
suggesting that we might not need to do a tax plan? I think
We haven't needed to in the last couple of years. We can get by.
I guess you're right. If we can get to September, we're gonna be getting tax revenue.
Yeah, but again, depending on what you're, if you're talking about needing $100,000, well, that's a different matter
Hoping not.
than needing 20.
Yeah, okay.
So we need
Alright.
to just keep that in mind, and I can chat with Norm and kind of pick his brain about what expenses might come up and when,
Yep.
and we can see that. The second thing that I sent out was just a preliminary year-to-date or year-end fiscal report, same format that we put out in the annual plan, so this will be what will appear in once it's final, it will appear in the next village book, showing that as of right now, we are right on the budget. We are within $2,000, $3,000.
You're within half
the budget.
0.5% of the,
Yeah,
it's incredible.
yeah. But what that means is that, one of the things that means is that there isn't a fund balance left over from this year.
Right.
So again, very rough figures, don't have a grand list or anything like that, but if the grand list were exactly the same as it was last year, and this holds up when all is said and done, there'll be about a 3-cent increase on the residential rate. And likewise, there's a 3-cent decrease on the residential education rate. So the tax rate overall for a resident should be the same as it was.
That's great.
Preliminary,
Preliminary.
but it's nice to kind of get a
Yes, it is.
glimpse ahead if we could. So just working on again, just to finalize all the year-end things. Our balance, our funds are, our reserves are funded. And then I'll work on all the year-end reports, and we'll have the new tax things to do in the next couple of months.
All right, thanks so much. It's really, it's nice to have this laid out right at the end of the year. Know what we're,
Copy.
what we're dealing with.
Text me, I'll come pick it up.
Okay, just give it to Mary. You want, I'm sorry. We're gonna keep that file
Yes.
with us.
Well, we can move on to the fire department. I don't think there's anything there.
The check.
Water board, I don't think there's anything there. I am gonna be meeting with Steve Ritter sometime this week, hopefully, to talk about a few things.
I'll hand him the check.
Anybody over there at Highway wanna tell us what's going on?
Sure. Here's the big one. I went and copied these at Staples, but for some reason two came out in order and then the other one didn't, so I'm gonna give you this one. And, you guys can take a peruse at it.
So this is one copy of all of them, right?
This is, yeah, yes, this is one copy of all the pictures, so you're gonna have to share, there's front and back. So basically is, as you know, on the first or the second, started on the first, we had a rain event, plugged, a lot of debris washed down, it's, washed down the hill and plugged one of our culverts right by the National Hangar Building. Culvert's approximately 3 foot high by 4 foot wide. It's what they call a box culvert. Zach responded that night. A couple other people. I know John was there. Had a few trees to clean up with the fire department, and basically they dammed up the road and tried to, slow down or mitigate any other damage to other buildings until the water subsided. They responded in the morning, got everything cleaned up to the best they could, got water to flow through the box culvert, at least take some of it, and got the road cleaned up. So, that being said, unfortunately it was a holiday weekend, a lot of people were off, state guys, so when finally we could gather our troops on Wednesday, this is kind of what we showed up to. So as you can see, the culvert is completely full of what they call cobbles, and it's great big rock. The picture lower than that is that big white truck. That's Hardigan's company. That's the truck that we paid for. That's got a big blaster that basically digs its way in and shoots the rocks out the hole. Hopefully you're not in the way of those rocks. You flip the page over, you just see the box culvert. You can see them plugged in, and the other pictures is that. The one picture with the water in it, that was Sunday night when I arrived on the scene. You can still see water going through the top of it. The picture where you see the box culvert and the water jetting out, that's the process. So that you need that for the state. If you flip it over, you can see there's the manhole, and you can see the stone right up to it. And the reason to look at that is the size of the stone. Basically on the side where all this is built up, this is all stone that came out of that box culvert. So if you go to the last page, there is, this is the real shot that we need, is the last one. Okay, and you can see the bottom picture with the little hose and the tool. You can look at it and you can see the culvert's pretty much all cleaned out. That pile of junk up there is blacktop that got in there at one time when they were paving the road, and it stuck to the side. But in the picture above it, you can see that there's a hole in that box culvert. And what that means is there's a hole underneath our road for water to go down there. So that's a pretty good problem. Not only that, is the upstream side still has to be repaired to, harden the banks and get rid of some of those cobbles. For years, Mike Lett, the person that was in charge before me,
had installed a grate there, and it worked. I mean, I've been here since 2008, and it was long before that, and it kept a lot of the rocks out of there. But during this storm, just so violent, it plugged it up and knocked it over, and that was the end of it. We've kind of bent it back into somewhat of a shape and put it back in its way, but that's not a good policy now for the fish and, you know, the stream and everything else. Unfortunately for the county of Bennington, we've created enough storm damage. We have multiple problems in our community. We have here, Bennington, Powell, and Shasberry. But fortunately for us, because that threshold is so high, now there is some grant money to fix these emergency repairs. So we've ordered a hydraulic study. Actually, the state did it even the first morning when they saw it. We don't believe that we believe that it will come back that box culvert is undersized, but it's not gonna come back with enough money to repair that, to replace that. But on Friday at 8 o'clock, and I hope Mary can be here for that one, we have a meeting with the state to start the process of filling it out to get a grant to repair this road. Now, you know, and there's a lot of people doing it. I'm sure Bennington, you know, has multiple sites. I don't know if they fill out one big grant or they fill out a grant for each site.
Is that meeting here on?
That meeting is here at the train station. We only have one site, so then we're going to work on that. We have the fish and river. That engineer is in contact. He wants to be part of the process, which is good. And we're hoping that we can go through this with the state engineers helping us to devise a plan so we can go out to bid. We do believe in our AOT counterpart is our liaison is researching this, and you know there's going to have to be a bid process to deal with some of this, but it doesn't have to go through the you know the 2-year chain of events. So that being said, that's one. The second is not an emergency. It was a planned event, and I hope we don't push it off. Is paving on Church Street. The water board has replaced the 7 lines that needed to be replaced. Well, what they want to do now, if we are committed to pave on Church Street, they want to put in a couple valves. And what the valves would do would be able to isolate different parts of the street if they had a problem. Similar like we did in the intersection. And then they would be, you know, they're on that same street, so they would be underneath the new pavement and everything would be nice. If we're not going to pave the street, then I believe that they will put those replacement valves, they'll schedule them for next year. You know, our target is probably about, you know, $20,000 to $25,000 to get that street paved after they had changed those water valves. They dug through a really bad section, which kind of helped us. And I think we should go ahead and really get that street done.
I do too.
You know, but we need, you know, we want to try to do it before the school year, and you know, so we have.
So they just, so far I haven't been on that street in a while, so have they patched, so they just patched it over?
No, they haven't patched anything yet.
So it's still dirt?
It's still dirt, that's correct. I believe the patching's coming soon. They'll patch and then come back, because the patching's all handwork.
So they're gonna patch it regardless of, even if we said we're gonna pave, they're gonna come into a temporary patch on it?
Oh, yes, they have to go in and dig those dirt spots out and put the blacktop back into the existing, what it was. So when we pave.
So we're just gonna pave over the top?
We're just gonna pave over the top. You know, worst case scenario, it's like 500 ton, but Lionel thinks he can do it for like 250 ton. You know, and that's basically kind of like we paved Church Street, which you go in and just shim and put a small overlay
Church.
on it, or excuse me, not Church Street, College Road.
Gotcha.
So overall, I don't remember what that was budgeted for, that project, the
Well,
Church Street.
about 25 grand we put in that.
We should be able to do that,
Yeah, I think so.
yeah.
And is Lionel gonna be doing that job?
As soon as we get the okay,
So,
yes, that's
so I
certain.
wanna coordinate because, and have a conversation with him about an issue we had at the school.
Well, we need to talk about that because well, and maybe Friday we can make a little field trip over there because there's some parking. And now when we do that road is, it's 30 and a half feet on this, or excuse me, on the Bank Street side, and it's 28 on the West Street side. You know, the street in all purposes should really be curved and sidewalks, we'll never be able to do that. So we really should leave it the width it is, because people are still gonna park where they park. But that being said, when we get up to the school, there's parking next to the fence that the school has, and those are the school parking spots, and that pavement should really go to the width of all those. And I don't know who's gonna decide to pay for that, you know,
Talk to us.
you know.
Talk to me and or Ray Molyneux, but we had a flood event there, on Saturday. And it's because of some substandard work that was done on our last big project there, where these window wells are pulled away from the building because they weren't even pinned to the building. And so we're thinking that maybe some sort of skirt, and I'd already put a call into, our concrete guy. He won't get back to me. So that's what gets me to whether or not you've been in contact with him about the Main Street project.
No,
But I just want to get an idea from maybe both an asphalt and a concrete guy, which might be the best approach. And if there's going to be a concrete guy or an asphalt guy there, right next to the building, it'd be a time to do that. So we'll
but
talk
there,
about it.
you know, we're talking, you know, to add to those parking spaces again, you know, we wouldn't,
You mean
we
further
would-
down, further kind of beyond across from the church, but more by the playground?
yes.
Just
yes.
beyond. where
Close to
the
West
bus stop
Street.
is.
Right, now,
Yeah.
and again, that's, you know, we don't have to really shim that, we would probably just do that with the overlay, you know what I mean, and,
Just adding a little bit more asphalt up.
that's right, and I think the only thing that we would request the school is to pay for the added tonnage, for as far as him getting, you know, all the mobilization and stuff, you know,
Right.
we're there, he's there for us. But it would make that job so much nicer.
Well, I guess the question is, who really owns that land? Is it the school or is it the village? If you have 30 and a half feet of road further down and now it narrows,
Yeah, it's, I'm gonna tell you, we had 30 and a half because everybody just kept going and they just kept paving.
okay.
I mean, you know, for us to suck that street back up and curb it, I think would be the greatest thing in the world, but there would be a lot of unhappy people on that street. And then it goes back to parking during the school, and when
Yeah, yeah.
everybody's around there, it's crazy. So sucking that street up probably would be a mistake. But up there, like I said, those parking spots, just for the water pits and the drainage, they really should be paved
All right,
over.
we'll take a look at it, and I'm sure that,
That school striped, and
Yeah.
that's cool.
okay.
Make it single side parking, all right?
It's not.
You could make it that way.
We could, that
It
would
actually
be,
sort of is. People don't tend to park
yes it is.
on that other, on the right-hand
They
side.
park on both sides.
It's number two.
It's terrible, and,
No,
you know,
that's
we
right.
have, you know, same problem on State Street, and, you know, in the wintertime, it's just a bad scene, it's a slalom course in there, and, you know, that's why we try to get the snow out of that street as fast as we can to you know, relieve a little bit, but, you know, it's all,
Okay. Well, we can maybe talk more about that on Friday,
yeah, so that would be good.
about the sidewalk on Main Street.
So the sidewalk on Main Street, just once we, yeah, pretty much, we're just gonna go for it.
And we've got a contract with the landowner regarding the Splitting the.
No, not that one. Oh, I'm thought you were talking about Bank Street, the one over by the church. No, no, just with last week kind of screwy. But I'll see if I can incorporate him in that discussion on
It'd
Friday.
be silly to do the church one without doing the other, from the mobilization.
Well,
standpoint.
I think because we have to do it, you know, I think they would be in two separate jobs.
Okay.
You know, I think they should be pretty close to each other, they should follow it, but it's a lot of confusion down there in that corner, you know?
Okay. I'll take your word for how to approach it.
You know, we could go there and then, maybe go up and do that one up at the park and then come down, because by the time that's all poured and backfilled, then we can come back down and take that one out. You know what I mean? So those jobs can just roll, but that's a lot of bouncing around in a lot of traffic. So, and I'm gonna let Mark do this because he talked to Mr. Sweet, so.
Oh, you wanna do that during your?
Yeah, I didn't know if he wanted to bring it up during citizens' comments, but he made a comment, but he's not, but,
Well, no, that's more for
so.
if someone was here, but.
And this is kinda highway, but.
Yeah, so, the house that's pumping the water into Water Street from up above, the property owner who lives in Bennington, stopped by when I was out cutting my hedges and took me for a little ride. So and again, Norm and I did that probably, a month ago, Norm? Kind of the same trip we took. We bounced around, saw everything. He's wanting to have a conversation with us about solutions. His contention is that he believes that we are causing the water to go there. So I said I'd do a little research on, I spoke to Norm a little earlier today. The culvert that's up above, I assume that culvert's been there for a very long time. Norm said it's been there for as long as he's been there. I'm not sure when the culvert was put in. He seems to think that the problem only started happening within the last 10 to 15 years. So whether that culvert had failed at some point and he wasn't seeing the problem and then they got around to repairing it and then the problem came back, or whether it was a new culvert put in, I don't know. But we'll have to do a little research on that. But
The first,
he would like to, what's that?
we've been through that, your first scenario was the correct one. Culvert was always there, it was cleaned out,
Mary will print it.
and or water just started finding other ways to get. to it.
Which happens,
That's
yep.
what it does.
So, and we've done nothing to change. There hasn't been any new construction that I know of above that road that would change water. We've done nothing to the road itself that would change water patterns. I'm assuming it's just kind of is what it is type thing, that the water diverted at some point on its own and ended up in his backyard and in his basement. So I said we would be happy to talk to him about it and help in any way we can. But unless it can be proven that we've done something that puts us
We had this
As
exact
a cause of-
conversation 5 years ago. I mean,
with him, or?
Yes.
He does not remember that. Because I said, I think we've had conversations with you before, and he said he's never spoken to Norm. He might not
No,
remember.
maybe it was the renter at the time who was there.
And that we had,
No, he was here.
Right.
yeah, I thought we had conversations, even help.
That's probably
Offering
in
to help
the
with-
minutes. We said that there were certain
Yeah.
things we would be willing to help to do to
Yes.
make his.
He does not remember that to be the case, but again, we can start the process over again. I said, in any way that we can try to help in any way we can, we'd certainly be happy to, but I did let him know that we are not claiming responsibility for that, and if there's gonna be, the financial burden is gonna be on him. He was very nice, he was thankful that I was willing to at least talk to him, and then we would, bring things up. I told him I would call him after this meeting. I guess the next step would either be to invite him here or to our next meeting, or I'd be happy to go down there with Norm to have a conversation with him at the site, whatever you all think is best. Or we can do both. We can plan on meeting him sometime between now and the next meeting, get a feel for where we're all at.
And then insist that he come to a meeting.
Have him come. Yeah, and I told him, it may not be necessary that you come to this meeting. I was happy to kind of give the information that we had so far and go from there.
I think if the property owner thinks that there's an issue because of road drainage or something like that, I think the foreman plus a trustee, he should show you where he thinks there's an issue.
Yeah.
Because it can't just be this sort of unknown, like, I think it's coming from the town's end of it.
We know where it's coming from. We've been up there, walked through the woods above his place between Park Street and that house. It's a rubble foundation with no mortar,
Yeah,
and it's built into a hillside. And the hillside goes up from there, and it's the exact same hillside that produced the catastrophe on Water Street. A lot of water comes off that hill. And it has only certain places that can cross Park Street.
So I think the way we start is, I mean, again, I agree, it should be somebody with knowledge of the roads and what's going on. I'd be happy to go just to have a representative of the board and with the property owner. Have the conversation and see where it goes, and at that point, invite him to the next meeting if it seems like it's something we can at least have a conversation with. If it becomes something that he is, you know, if he's contending that it is our issue and that we need to address it, then, you know,
well, that's.
it'll take a different turn, then we just, you know, we have to start over again and go there. But for the first one, I think he'd be willing to just kind of lay out his facts as he sees them, we'll lay out our facts as we see them, and see where it leads. Yep.
I think a good idea would be with Mark, who he's made contact with, myself, and also one of you two new trustees, just to come be part of that conversation. I mean, it's you know, so when this problem reoccurs, you know what I mean, somebody else remembering, geez, we were there.
Yep.
You know, and 5 years ago, the proposed fix, again, most of it at his expense, where we were gonna allow him to do a couple things, was unacceptable. You know, that driveway's been washed out most of the spring. I mean, it got fixed a little bit, and you know what I mean, so.
I'm not even sure, it might even still be running. I mean, the last I can remember, it was still actually running.
You know, and that issue, we talked about it earlier this spring, that same issue coming out of that residence, rental property, creates a problem for all the village taxpayers.
It's legal for him to dump into that private road, I presume, because it's all private land there. It's not a town road, but when it gets to the town state road, Water Street, and washes substantial amounts of gravel as well as icing over in the spring,
Right.
Winter, spring, it's unacceptable. The state's been down and looked at it and said, just, you can't have this.
Where his contention is, it comes into where the road was ditched, there's a culvert across the road, it was replaced. It's plastic, so it's, you know, it's been replaced within 25 years. The last time we were here, we asked Mike, who was who I followed, he replaced the culvert, he did not install a new one, so it was, you know, it's always been there. The water runs into this big field. I mean, the water probably discharges off the road 50 to 75 yards from this dwelling in a pocket. So you actually, you gotta go uphill. The water, all down Water Street, and we went behind the mill that houses the maple syrup business and the cheese factory, it bubbles out of the side of that hill. So it bubbles everywhere. It's not just one place.
And there's all that gravel that they placed in behind that Water Street factory. And the advantage, of course, there's an old house with a rubble foundation built up against that. Right. And that has plenty of room to go down and dissipate behind that factory. It's unfortunate, but as we have more and more of these big storms and floods, it's gonna be, and obviously, if there is a way that we as a village can better, we've been through this so many times, we can't move water any further south. It's ledge, although there's a chance that something will change, because if and when we get a new water line, they're gonna be blasting that ledge along probably the right-hand side of Park Street, in order to connect the water, I mean, as proposed, a water line all the way down to Henry Bridge. That might be the time that we could come in and move water further down to Henry.
Yeah, that is correct, and good or bad, just the act of a major construction problem like that, or not problem, a major construction project like that could also change the way Mother Nature handles what she handles now as well.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? 'Cause- So we could, it could potentially get worse. You know, again, Matt and myself, that's why it would be good for the new guys to go down in Gales, and just see the water just coming, bubbling out of that side hill, and it's behind the Hollis house, I don't know who lives there, you know,
Where the
it's all,
fire was, yeah.
it's bad.
It's a spring, and when it's a particularly wet winter spring, it just runs and runs, and then when you have these 5-inch rains, the same thing happens. Yeah.
So I'll make contact and try to set something up and I'll let,
Yeah, let us know.
yeah.
Maybe
I'll
there's
send it out to the board.
Maybe there's some hope with this project that we could coordinate at the same time.
Yeah.
Running it, we always wanted to run a pipe, keep it on the upside of the road and get it down to the Knopfsinger area, right, down towards the corner.
And so the issue is just beyond that culvert
It
is all
goes up,
ledge.
it's ledge and it goes uphill.
It goes uphill some, so.
Yeah,
So trenching it isn't gonna help because you can't trench it.
There's no trenching.
right, and then you go down through, again, in private property, and, you know, and the water laws, what the resident, or excuse me, what the landowner talks about recites, which he breaks every time you pump, that some pump turns on. You know, you can't knowingly discharge water to interfere with somebody else. You know, where our water is going, where it has been going since the road was built.
Yeah.
Since the metal culvert, let's just say we'll go down into the 40s. That was completely legal then, everything was cool, there wasn't any problems. If we were to install that culvert today, he would have a valid point and you know, we would have to do something. So when we detour water in this, maybe the upcoming project, we have to make sure it gets all the way to where it's to the river. And that's a long ways away. That's a lot of pipe.
But there are no more houses on that side of the street after that Hollis Hill. Hollis is over.
No, because Knopfsinger's is way up.
And he's way up, and I'm sure that the state's gonna have to get the right of ways to do that water work anyway. I hope they're not putting the water main down the middle of Park Street.
Oh, that's correct, but whether it's in open ditches or it's in
Right.
culverts
Culverts
or,
pipe or whatever.
you know, and, you know, open ditches are easier for us to maintain, pipe is not. You know, so there's a lot to think about it. It's not just, well, just set it that way and, you know, that's the answer.
That project can't interfere with the way water's running for us now without them putting it back into, so I think there's some latitude and some possibilities to work something out, which would make it better for everybody down there.
Alright, so I'll take care of that.
Okay, you gotta, well, let's just wait, let's get to,
Actually, you know what, I got one more for Norm.
okay.
I also got a complaint from a couple of residents. We are the trees just past Paulins Market there, gas station. Right hand side, they grow out over the
Towards
sidewalk. So
the
it's
pine trees?
impeding- Pardon me?
The pine trees coming this
Not the
way.
pine, no, so
Pine and
as you
there's-
go past, there's a fruit tree
Which way are we headed?
heading out of town, heading down Main
The
Street.
house just
Downhill.
above his house.
2 houses above
Yep,
mine.
yep.
It's a rental place.
Mhm.
Those trees are growing over, impeding
The sidewalk?
line of sight. They're low enough where I'm not very tall and I
I
duck.
think one's an apple tree,
Yeah.
and then there's maybe some bucks.
So they were just wondering what we could do. So I just said, you know, I'll check it out. I don't know if it's something that we take care of or we
Half inch
contact.
below the grass, we take care of it, not a problem.
What's that?
Half inch below the grass, we get rid of it.
Yeah. So is the opinion that I know the way property lines work, your property line until you can't see anymore and beyond that, if there's something hanging over it, you can cut it.
Yeah,
Is that true of the sidewalks? Is that
Yes,
our
we have-
obligation to
oh, yeah, yeah.
clear those back? So
Yep.
if we can
Yep. we
determine
can work
where,
on that.
just
Yep.
But if
shade
they
it
want
right
the
out
tree
down.
removed and it's on their property, we're not gonna do that.
No, the tree is not on their property, the tree is on the apartment building.
No.
If we trim it,
Yeah.
Yeah, we can go down there and take care of
Okay.
it. We can make that better.
I mean, it would also be, I have a hedgerow in front of mine and I try to keep it. I mean, my opinion is if you're able to and have trees on your property, it would certainly be very helpful if you could maintain and trim them back so they're not growing over the, of course, we'll take care of it where need be and where it can happen,
Well,
but,
now that they're driving the new whacker around, they're getting an idea of how it's a different machine and they'll track this and kind of deal with as they need to get, to do the
yeah,
sidewalk.
I mean, that's certainly not one you hit the whacker with because
But it's still,
it's not right on Main Street.
but it's still a line of sight.
He doesn't
so
let me
people
smoke.
can
Yeah.
look at it. No, that's
Yeah.
important.
He says they
Same-
can't smoke cigars in it.
Same with the mowing, you know, that corner of, Harlan and out past the college, Harlan and,
Madison?
Madison, you can't see up the street.
I call every week, wondering where it's
I
on
know,
a ball.
I know, I just wanted to bring
It's
it
in
up.
customs.
Yeah.
Believe me, the second we get it, my mower man will be mowing and he won't be able to get out of it until it's all done.
One suggestion there might be just get the weed whacker out and do a 10 square feet, you know, it's, as you pull up, you can't see up Madison, it's already kind of trouble when you try to make that turn, just a thought.
So I'll stop in and see them too and just say that we're on it.
There is conflicting interests there. If you, as a property owner, you know, you want to maintain your tree or your property to a certain standard, which is different than the town's interest there in maintaining our easement, because if we're got the sidewalk or the road, we need to take care of our easement and have our corridor there. It's not the same standard. It's not gonna look the same as if the property owner manicures their tree or whatever. We're just gonna take care of it.
Yeah.
So it's up. I
So it
think
would behoove a property owner, if they wanted to look the way they want it to look.
Exactly.
If they took care of it before we had to, it would certainly
But we
benefit.
will
as
if we
well.
need to.
It's the
Yes.
same way the power company did.
We try to do a nice job. When we trim them, we kind of look at it and say,
They do
you know,
the
sometimes
minimum
less is
they
more philosophy.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
that every landowner on the street says, oh, well, they'll maintain my trees for them. That's not.
Yeah, that's not gonna
How
happen.
we do it.
That's
Yeah.
correct, yes.
And when the power company comes in, it's just scorched earth, you know, it's like, this is in the way of our wires and we're not gonna care.
And while we're on it, I might as well do this one. Norm and I put the goals up today. And I just wanted to thank Norm because it really wasn't his responsibility to do that. And I was putting together a work party to do that tomorrow. And he called and said, nope, we're doing it today. So we went down and it actually went very well. But I do appreciate his help with that. It didn't take us very long and they look great. And the field is soon to follow. I just gotta go map it out. And
Let's hope it gets some use.
well, I've already had calls. It'll get used. I'll use it.
Good.
So
Had a couple.
thank you, Norm, for that. as
Thank
well.
you.
We'll use it.
All right, that's all I got.
Okay.
I did just
What do you got?
for highlight.
Yeah, sure.
I was present for a lot of the night on the first there, and it really, the village did have an emergency then, and I'd like to thank the fire department because they did an awesome job responding, not just to citizens that had basements that needed to get pumped, and the library, and they helped us out a ton at that culvert as well. They stayed and kept the road closed all night long because we weren't able to get somebody else to close the road for us, so they just sat in the truck and sat there until morning when we were able to get back there at 5. And they were over in Hoosick Falls, and I know they shut down a gas bottle over there for a large gas bottle that needs to be shut down in an emergency. And I mean, there was water all over the place. I guess everybody probably knows that, but you know, you went out, you couldn't go down River Road past the Henry Bridge. We got through Austin Hill, but just before they closed that down, it was closed at Bill Scully's place on Water Street. So I mean, it really was a big event, and I think we did manage to get through it pretty well thanks to the state of our infrastructure. I think that, you know, we had just done cleaned out culverts a week or two before that, so I'm sure that we did better than we might have.
They're probably full again too.
So,
We looked.
but that's what they're supposed to do.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's a good thing that we did, so.
Yeah.
But I just like to thank both you know, especially Zach, but I mean, Zach was up quite a bit of that night, and then Norm came back from his vacation early, so thank you for that. I mean, above and beyond for everybody. So.
Yeah, and just to add to that with the fire department, and we couldn't have cleaned that culvert without them volunteering that all that Monday.
On Wednesday, they were there again all day.
Right, and the two employees for the water department were there all day Wednesday helping us, and Ted, the head water guy, he did the belly crawl right through that box culvert. He was
Great.
He was Johnny on the spot all day, and he'd even water with the rest of us. So, you know, that was a big team effort. And, you know, without that fire truck, we couldn't have supplied water to that big truck because he blows through 1,000 gallons like that, and then you shut down. We'd have never cleaned it ever. So.
That was a lot of water, ran through there afterwards. A lot of clean water went through later. Yeah, thanks for everybody's efforts on that. Anything else?
Thank you.
And thank you for your night there. Understand you're gonna get your hands wet with a little painting maybe one of these nights.
Yes, I'd like to.
Coming up, huh? Okay, DRB. We're going to appoint a second person to that committee.
I've had some interest in that position, and so I would move that we table that for another month as well. I think that they've, unless I hear otherwise, it seems like it functions fine. It's a 5-member board, and they have 4.
They have 4 now, so they'll be fine.
You know, I don't know that we have a specific, you know, nomination or somebody that's here that wants to run, and I know that there are some people interested in that position. So I think it would be great for the board to have somebody that was really enthusiastic about it and wanted to. That's always good for.
Yeah.
So
Let's give it another month, and if anybody knows anybody themselves or knows of somebody else who might want to throw their hat in, please let us know.
So how does that work? Does the board
But if they
We
feel
just
that
make
appoint.
recommendations? Is it like the water board? Where they make, can the DRB make recommendations and then we follow
No,
the
we just
recommendations?
we just appoint
Comments?
based
Okay.
on people's interests in this case, we should.
And so it would be the process of if we have more,
We would talk to them and decide,
Okay.
and just decide what was the best fit, and urge the others who didn't to look at the planning commission or to look at this board, or,
Well, I
get involved
think
in other ways.
if I don't misunderstand it, I would think if it's our duty to nominate that, or to approve them, you know, if several people said, I want to run, then we would vote,
Yeah,
you know, and
Yep.
approve whoever we,
think it's
you know,
best.
by majority.
And consult with the DRB themselves, they might want to talk to them and see.
But if there's some reason, I don't think there is, but if there's some reason they have to have 5 immediately, we could always call a special meeting.
I don't believe so. Table that, I don't think we need to even act on it officially. Okay, new business. I don't-
Art.
Oh, the art park?
The art,
Yeah.
what about it?
It's nice.
It's nice.
I just,
I don't know if I know Matt was there as well, but I was there at the opening on Saturday, and it was really a great event. And I mean, just what a community, a special community thing to have. You know, they had food, they had a band, they had libations, and it was just a lot of fun. And I saw nothing but smiles. The weather was good. There was a lot of kids around, and
It's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work for people. Joe Churchirillo heads up and curates that, just exhausting work. And then there's a lot of work interacting between he and I, and he and Norm, and a little bit of,
Me and Joe don't always get along.
yeah, you're good friends. But, these artists want to push the limits of what they can do on municipal property, and there's also, what holes they want to drill.
Property.
And college property. And I think it all worked out from what I can tell. Matt Perry hired someone to sit here for those 3 or 4 hours to monitor the bathrooms, so the bathrooms could be used, but also to take account of how many people made use of it. And one report was that a lot of out-of-town people, for the first time, were able to step in here and just really go, my God, this is a real treasure. So I think we're all kind of learning how to run one of these things as a collective, and we just hope that those who have installed work and those involved with the art park directly will do everything they can to make Norm and Zach's work as minimal as possible through October. You know, if you can grab your own weed whacker and kind of keep things nice around the various installations. One, there's less chance of them damaging it, and two, it does add work for them. And Norm, the decorations outside the building look great too. So, one big pat on the back for everybody. I don't know if there's any new business. The old business that I want to discuss involves this property that we have listed as old business.
She said she'd be here about 7:15.
Okay, well, it's fine because I finally got a hold of the right person today. And this now, I finally got transferred.
We're talking about 40 Main Street.
40 Main Street. And I finally got a hold of this guy named John Houston in Dallas, who said that he had just gotten today, he's the person involved with maintaining properties that they have mortgages for, and then it was just today across his desk, literally, that he got the directive as to what to do with that particular property. I don't know if I believe that. I was talking to Brushmore Mortgage a month ago. They had already had, but then they have to. So then the weird thing is, someone tells me tonight that they were removing the tree today.
It's gone.
The tree's gone.
Well, the limb that was on the house.
And so while I'm on the phone with this guy in Texas, they're acting like they haven't even done anything. And he alluded to the fact that based on what coding he saw on that, on the documents, is that it's possibly slated as a tear down for the bank. I said that's unfortunate that you wouldn't at least, you know, see. I mean, you're in Houston or Dallas, and you're in San Diego, and you just make these decisions based on. I said there would be people who would really appreciate maybe the opportunity to make that a tax.
Even if you sold it for
property again.
$1, you would be making out as opposed to.
Well, that's right. Then paying the $50,000 to tear it down. Yeah,
Right.
I'll buy it for $1.
right. So I said I'd like to be kept in the loop with that. I don't want to wake up one day and there be
Yeah.
wrecking balls there. On the other hand, they basically made the point that that's our prerogative, it's our property. So you beg to get something to do something, and then you get what you don't ask for, or you get what you ask for. So we'll just keep up on that, but at least the tree's gone. I don't know if they did anything with the chimney on the other side or did anything else. I'll go take a close look tomorrow and see what. I wished I'd known that because somebody said to me tonight, oh yeah, there was the management company was there today. And if I'd known that, I would have gone and talked to him. That's all I have there.
Did you haven't spoken to anybody at Redeem, did you?
Mm-mm.
I guess I drove by this afternoon and thought that it was still there, but I guess maybe I didn't really look carefully, but I saw a couple of guys standing there, you know, sort of discussing what I thought was the limb.
Yeah, no, it's gone.
So they may have.
The limb that was laying on the house.
I'm just saying it's possible that maybe they talked to somebody there.
Oh, yeah, we could see if they talked about what they were planning or whatever.
Or got a name or something.
You know, it's unfortunate. I think if the house got torn down, it would be hard for someone to build new there. And
And make it look like it.
and make it look right. I mean, there are design. I don't know if that falls into our design standard area or not, but
I did do some research on what our options as the village would be, and in the charter, we are authorized to deal with hazardous issues, including on property. So, you know, I think we have to be careful with that, obviously. And now that that's no longer on the building, you know, maybe the justification if there's a hazard is a little less, but I know there's quite a few other issues with that.
I think there's
property
plenty of
too,
hazards
so,
that could be identified.
um,
Bill has gotten into that with discussions a little bit with Bennington about, well, if you just adopt some of our ordinances, then they would be happy to help in those matters, but he's not here tonight to talk about that. I'll let him talk about it.
Well, yeah. And some of the action that they've taken, like for instance with that mill property at the end of Benmont,
Mm-hmm.
was to tear it down. And so I'm not sure if that was, you know, the advice they got legally is rather than sell it, if you're dealing with a hazard, maybe the only option is to.
It had been for sale for years and years.
That may have been a different situation.
It was a liability, I think. I think there were tough, you know, there were just reasons to make it disappear. It's too bad, 'cause it's just sitting there now undeveloped.
But we may not have the same
Right,
options if this is gonna be saleable or they're gonna deal with it in some way.
yeah.
So,
That's all I have. Is there any other old, new?
Just, Matt, if you want to take a look at this, I think I should forward this to the town of Bennington. It's a request for an alcohol at a wedding.
Oh, yeah, they do that. Yep.
Because the wedding's in North Bennington.
They have to authorize, Bennington does. And they do, send it to Stu, I guess, or to David, or to.
And it says someone's home. That's why I thought that it was,
I'm surprised that they have to do that.
me too.
Well, if they're having it catered and they're having a.
Oh, I guess because
They're having it catered and
American
they're
Flatbread's
doing
catered.
the.
American Flatbread is
So they
catering
probably
it.
ask them to also bartend.
Yeah.
If they're catering and bartending, they would assume all liability, so they would have to have a liquor license.
Okay. On your own property.
Because by asking
I
them
don't
to
know. I
serve
got my
for
friend
you,
at my house and had a
they are
bartender
the
with
servers,
no
so
alcohol.
they
I
would,
didn't.
if anything were to happen,
Wouldn't the
I didn't ask for
VFW
Gotta make sure
permission.
that everything.
thing you gotta have, when it went to the,
When you guys did that thing
mansion,
up at,
you
that's
have
right.
to, you have to apply for a temporary move.
Mhm.
You used to have, well, this is not a business, Bill's business, but you used to have to close and then
One
open
and
somewhere else. Now you can
yeah, you can get a
Be
ride.
open
maybe
in both
do a
places.
rider or something.
Do we have any personnel or contracts
Yes,
issues? We do. So which personnel?
personnel.
So I need a motion to go into executive session for personnel.
I'll move to go into executive session.
I second it.
All's in favor?
Right.
Yeah.